Hello everyone, I hope you're very much quite of a blessed day and very much quite of a great week as well. Sorry guys, we're actually shooting up this late. I had to go do the washing, I had to actually do the laundry in order to put it on the fence, in order for me to actually put it on the fence, and I also had to exactly walk my dog known as Universe so that she and I can exactly bond together and able to exactly bond together as well, get to know each other betterly as well, but which we've been precisely been doing as well for the great weekend as well. Despite that, guys, I'm so superly grateful for your guys' support, especially from all of you guys from TikTok, from shorts, and from long videos in YouTube. And from those of you guys who are also subscribing, please tell your friends or any members of your family to like and subscribe in my YouTube channel as well, and also into shorts as well. It will mean so much it will mean so much to me as well. But regardless of that, guys, I'm so still superly grateful for those of you guys who are still working with me and are still staying with me on my long journey. It means completely a lot to me. May you have a blessed, great, beautiful weekend. I will see you on Monday, and I'll try to ask my mom when the holidays are approaching, just to actually set the final date for our final episode, so that when that time comes, we can all exactly enjoy our peaceful holidays together into our peaceful holidays as one as together, while you guys continue to watching the episodes that I already quietly giving you, and will also quietly mean a lot. For those of you who are quietly subscribing, I'm completely grateful for your guys' support. Please continue to do so, and love you, and also take care of yourself. So let's proceed with that. Let's proceed with what's today's episode with everything else that's been said. On today's episode, we speak about Shadow Knight, who is a super villain and also a chief enforcer of a sinister ancient criminal organization known as the Court of Nature, that has been manipulating events, wars, conflicts in the shadows of sacred society and in the shadows of humanity, so that they can become the next remaining superior rulers of the known universe and of the rest of sacred existence in the total process, in the actual process of their goal, to furthering another ultimate goal of their own, so that they can still exactly remain in power and in full control over sacred society, in full control over sacred society, and over the over the solar system as well, within the sacred universe as well. Shadow Knight is a very powerful, respected, dark assassin, and greater mercenary, and greater high-ranking chief enforcer of the organization and of the ancient secret society of supervillains known as a Court of Nature. He serves the group well by giving them his services, and his great skills and great 12th level intellect, baseful skills, and he does it out of great compassion, but he does have a dark ambition in order to further the organization's goals and also his own goals, to which the organization agreed to him, to which the members of the group of the organization of the ancient secret society have agreed that it's best that Shadow Knight exactly continues his goal of conquering many known worlds and many known civilizations, to which he's been doing for the many past few centuries as well. He is the chief enforcer of the Court of Nature, highly resourceful and highly recommended, and very skillful, trustworthy, and highly obedient, and very loyal to the ancient group of supervillains known as the Court of Nature and its organization as well. Very loyal and very trustworthy and very ruthless, merciless in person. So let's begin. In Shadow Knight's previous life, he is distant the actual distant brother of Black Knight, to which he and Black Knight are related. They do, after all, indefinitely do share the same bloodline, but they are, after all, definitely related to one another. Shadow Knight quietly left his home world and his home planet to begin his own goals and his own activity within the following centuries, to where he began conquering many numerous worlds and planets and many civilizations under his sole control, to which he did it with a matter of one fell swoop. After doing that, Shadow Knight exactly discovered that his talents could rather be used for the greater purpose and for the greater higher power, to which he decided to expanding his reputation to a darker realization by aiding the Five Nation Hunters. By aiding the Five Nation Hunters on their sole activity in exterminating the monsters of the Dark Dimension, to which would gratefully benefit him in a long term, to which he actually did so by aiding the Great Five Nation Hunters in exterminating the monsters of the Dark Dimension. In return, the Five Nation Hunters gave Shadow Knight the resources and the great actual connections within the entire within the entire five nation world and its society as well, to which he can empower himself and also grant himself more great power and more great control as well in the actual attempt. Over the following centuries and years, Shadow Knight has been hired by the most deadliest alien intergalactic warlords and criminals throughout the entire known universe for them to really begin assassinating and removing the top competitors out of the game, to which he done very quietly, so well and so perfectly so well that he did it out of perfection, that he completed his assigned task and role. The four nation hunters realized that Shadow Knight is becoming nothing but a harbinger of great death and suffering, and that he must be stopped. They fought with Shadow Knight and battled him throughout some time, and they lost the battle. Shadow Knight completely vanished and began his sole goal and continued on with his sole mission. During the ending of the Great Centuries, Shadow Knight exactly began his true activity by forming a very formidable connections with other super criminals such as Golden Knight, Red Knight, Silver Knight, Ghostmaster, Lady Smoke, Lady Smoke, Dr. Darkness and Dr. Universe, Professor Block, and Professor War, and Dark Witch Boy, and the Dark Druids, and the Dark Druids, and the Dark Witches, and the Dark Warlock, and the four ancient warlocks, and the ancient super shadowy criminal elite organization known as the Power of Change, to which these 10 formidable greatest associates and companions became his highest, most top of the food chain members. Some became competitors to him, such as Ghostmaster, who decided to compete against Shadow Knight in order to show him that he's highly resourceful and also highly arrogant and powerful on his own, to which the both of them exactly fought with each other and managed to separate on a distant path and their sole activities of their own goal as well. During the middle years, Shadow Knight made it to planet Earth within the solar system, to beginning his sole goal and purpose, to where the ancient sinister criminal organization known as the Power of Change hired him in order to grab a piece of technology which was very instrumental for their goals and for their plans to be beared fruit from, to which Shadow Knight failed trying to get the technology due to the interference of the members of the United Heroes, who were able to purposely cut him off by trying to acquire the destructive tech, to which resulted in a building itself being destroyed within the entire area of the entire city, to which Shadow Knight vanished and was never quietly seen again. On the actual middle years, Shadow Knight exactly decided to expanding his true dominion and reputation throughout the entire human society and within the sacred society, so that he can be highly recommended, to where he remains in the shadows, waiting for the perfect time for him to actually beginning his sole purpose, to which he decided to begin his mission and his soul glorifying goal. At that end of that time, he gladly accepted the invitation of the members of the Court of Nature, who exactly personally told him that they would rather have him as the greatest personal chief enforcer of the organization, of the group, due to his reputation being highly famed and being highly dangerous and being highly skillful at his grateful work and mission. Shadow Knight accepted the proposition, and he decided to become the chief enforcer of the Court of Nature at that particular time as well. On the actual day of the 26th of March, Shadow Knight exactly was quietly behind the behind the great shadows of the great forest of the bushes, as he and the other shadowy chief enforcer of the Court of Nature's newest partner, known as the Harpican Core Empire, an alien race that's been conquering worlds and civilizations for the past few centuries, that has exactly managed to form an ancient pact with the ancient group of supervillains known as the Court of Nature. The top security and the chief enforcer of the Harpican Core Empire met up with Shadow Knight within the forest, within the shadowy forest, actually talking and discussing about the event, that how they can handle the creature, how they can handle the rampaging creature monster that's now not completely under the sole control of the outer circle. That's now completely not exactly under the sole control of the outer circle. Now that another war boy, and the other member of the other members of the world heroes are doing everything in power in order to save the inhabitants and the creature itself. Shadow Knight exactly insisted to dealing with the humans in order to making an example of them, in order to actually making an example of them for those who would exactly who those exactly would not exactly follow the ways of the court of nature, to which he returned back again after dropping a powerful sedative that rendered the two highly great generals of the organization itself to be highly catatonic, to be highly in a catatonic state without no further response for days and for weeks, is a great example to those who stray from following the ways of the court of nature, or its path, or its entire obligation, its goals, and its organization. To which Shadow Knight told the other chiefing force of the Harbican Core Empire that he's very happy that now things are going back into order the way they are meant to be. As the chiefing force exactly told him that he did exactly what he had to, making sure that the creature could not fall into the hands of the enemy. That would result in both threats being highly being a very being highly to be a higher priority for them to deal with the real mess that's about to exactly occur, with them forming a very strategic alliance to which would pose a threat to their sole objectivity as well. On the actual 28th of April, Shadow Knight was quietly able to reconvene with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders within his abandoned base of his sector, to where he told the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders that part of the agreement, they must still exactly supply the court of nature with more destructive technology as part of the ancient deal and part of the ancient pact, to which the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders begin to reassuring Shadow Knight that is exactly what will continue to happen, since they have provided them with more worlds and with more planets that are under their sole control. Regardless of that, Shadow Knight quietly believed the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders, as he entrusted them and reassured them that the pact will always remain the same, no matter what. On the actual 19th of May, Shadow Knight exactly decided it's best to take matters into his own own hands at that particular rate, when the actual court of nature assigned him to protect the ancient temple that he was meant to actually hold in God, to where the members of the universal founders exactly breached inside the temple, managed to exactly create an incursion inside the temple, subduing all the gods and all of its forces, and Shadow Knight exactly fought up against them until he completely vanishes, while the universal founders began a very powerful ancient incantation to where they were able to reverse the side effect of shadow energy throughout one of their own as well. On that very day, Shadow Knight completely met up with the operatives and exactly told them that everything else is going according to plan, the way it's supposed to be. Even the great rebuilding and the recreation of the temple being restored back to its glory, it's exactly proof that their plans are now being set into motion as well. On the precise day of the 13th of June, on the precise day of the 13th of June, Shadow Knight was quietly able to meet up with the Shadow Empire warlord and commanders on the sacred worlds, on the dark sacred planets and worlds within their sacred bases, when he was able to telling them that the operation and everything else is quietly taking place, meaning that the intelligence that they actually provide them and giving them to destroying the universal heroes and the 4,900s of the Intergalactic Coalition must now begin to systematically bear fruit. And the Shadow Empire warlord and commander agreed that he must be there presently to himself to witness the downfall and the destruction of the 4,900s of the 4,900s of the Intergalactic Coalition for himself as well, in order for that to happen. To which he purposely agreed, and that is exactly what he'll do. On the actual 13th of July, Shadow Knight and the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders launched a huge incursion attack on the other ice planets and worlds, to where the ice hunters, to where the ancient ice and formidable ice hunters exactly live, where the entire city is built by ice and snow, and only the weather only changes when the weather only turns black to the weather actually turns black, symbolizing that the greatest threats or forces of evil are approaching within the sector walls of the planets and of the star systems as well, to which it turned very black, and the ice hunters fought with everything, as all the battle cruisering ships that literally come from the ocean came and began literally attacking, especially the navy that the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders have actually been given and also been granted as well by their own greater resources of their own, to which they began attacking and literally laying waste to all the ice hunters. And Shadow Knight was quite precisely literally within the attack, as he began also helping and fighting up against the forces until the mighty universal water heroes backed up their allies and literally fought up against Shadow Knight and completely trying to take him down, and literally fought up against him. At that rate, Shadow Knight was quickly subdued, but after that he vanished and disappeared within the great battle of the invasion, and was never seen again. After that, the forces also all exactly retreated, and the battle cruisers removed themselves from the entire ice planet and ice worlds from its star systems and left completely, and so did the rest of the navy of their ships, left and literally disappeared from the scourging of the ashes, and the weather remained black as a sign of rain and thunder and lightning has begun to commence after the great battle began. On the actual 12th of August, Shadow Knight was able to precisely to reconvene with the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders on a dark crystal chamber, to where to exactly he told them that they made a big mistake in attacking the threat on a very, very different effective move, to where the mighty universal water heroes would exactly engage in a full head-on attack. The Shadow Empire warlords and commanders agreed with Shadow Knight that they will not exactly repeat the same mistakes or the same failings ever again, to which they are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that the operation will begin taking its rightful place by any means necessary, and they're willing to make sure that the plan is quietly going accordingly the way it's intended to be. Shadow Knight exactly told the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders that due to their recklessness and not studying the threat or the enemy makes them quietly highly incompetent, but he exactly reassured them that he will come up with a better plan, with a better plan as well. On the actual 29th of September, Shadow Knight exactly managed to literally reconvene with the members of the Court of Nature within the ancient crystal dark temple that was quietly within the western side of the great formidable nation that was quite on the western side of the great formidable nation's borders, known as the Red Empire's borders, to where the temple was quite within the ancient forest itself, which makes it the perfect headquarters where where a powerful deadly monarchy only rules half a quarter of the island volcanic nation that he's quietly in control of and quietly in control of as well. At that particular rate, Shadow Knight exactly explained to the members of the Court of Nature that his assignment is quietly done and that his full task has been quietly heavily completed. The other members of the Court of Nature told Shadow Knight that they quietly appreciated his services and have very quietly complimented him on his great task, stating that he defeated the threat and the enemy before their plans became highly compromised. In doing so, they made the right choice, making him the chief enforcer of the organization and of the group itself, making him that his services are highly recommended and also highly grateful for due to his work and due to his great determination. And the other members completely agree that Shadow Knight is a greatest best exceptional to the group itself, and also that his services are very highly recommended and are also quietly still full needed it. Doing so, they greatly complimented him on his great silent operation and his great work, stating that he is, after all, now the chief enforcer and the rightful enforcer of the organization itself as well. On the 14th of October, Shadow Knight exactly landed on the powerful Smoke Island, which was relocated on a very different eastern area to where the Shadow Empire nation controls many volcanic random villages and schools and all of that as well, to where the smoke island is quite within the middle sector of the ocean itself, to where Shadow Knight exactly returned to the island, thanking his assassins and his greatest members that they are quietly doing quite a great job, and that he's very quietly highly successful of them, and very highly grateful that they actually doing a very quietly grateful job, and was able to speak to the sensei of the group, telling that this organization could use a bit of more highly greater motivation, that the newest recruit should be ready for their job and for their greatest mission, to which the new sensei at Good with Shadow Knight, that they definitely need new recruit, but these various recruit are highly the greatest exception, and they make the best for their work and for their great mission as well, to where the both of them completely agreed. On that very night of that day, Shadow Knight and the other members of the terrorist organization confronted and initially fought up with the Sacred Team, which is a very powerful covert team of superheroes that work on the behalf of the United Heroes, and on behalf of the Universal Heroes, and on behalf of the World Heroes. Their job and full mission and goal is to gather intelligence, information, knowing about their enemies' plans, sinister goals, operations and sinister higher goals, and mission infiltration, stopping a powerful sinister operation of superhuman trafficking, alien trafficking, deadly supernatural trafficking, preventing all threats from winning and gaining power and control. That is their sole purpose. They are a covert team, just like the Universal Heroes, but the World Heroes are quite an open team of world heroes that are quite highly open to the human public and to the sacred society as well. So just in order for you guys to understand the difference between those teams and those other, the actual difference between the Universal Heroes and the Sacred Team and the World Heroes, that they're quietly far different from each other, who actually have different activities and different goals as well. The members of the Sacred Team actually clashed and fought with Shadow Knight and with the rest of their forces, as Shadow Knight completely continued taunting his adversary and his enemies until he gained the upper hand and fought up with him, and he literally gained the upper hand as well, and they managed to fly due to the jet, destroying everything of the entire island security and all of its database, and their sacred collaborator was not very happy that the enemy escaped the island again, leaving a damaged reputation upon itself and upon him and upon the other members of the organization itself as well. On the actual day of the 5th of December, the members of the half of the members of the Universal Heroes exactly began the infiltration within a sacred supernatural fight club that's actually quietly relocated on other beautiful sister worlds and planets, that quietly harbors ancient, strange creatures and beings and all types of creatures that all exactly coexist together, to which this fight club is very quietly big and very quietly massive, to which is a very underground secret fight club. On top of it actually houses a very powerful, formidable ancient stadium where powerful magical creatures and other creatures can fight one another, which makes it the perfect place to create a powerful sacred fight club beneath the underground of the planet itself. Half of the members of the Universal Heroes literally infiltrated the fight club and began liberating thousands of many captured aliens, supernatural creatures, vampires, werewolves, and unknown superhuman children and kids and home families. At that particular rate, one of them was, after all, a spy and also a great agent of Shadow Knight as well at that particular time as well. To which the agent responded to Shadow Knight by sending him a very private text, telling him that he is already quietly inside the ranks of the Universal Heroes and the ranks of the Phoenician Hunters of the Intergalactic Coalition as already. On the actual day of the 12th of January, the agent exactly told Shadow Knight that she is already completely inside and within the ranks of the Phoenician Hunters of the Intergalactic Coalition, and that he's been sentenced directly to the refugee center, to the rest of the refugee centers, to know exactly about his origin and all of that. And despite that, Shadow Knight exactly told him to remain patient and to stay on top of the soldier activity of the goal through the text himself as well. On the actual day of the 15th of February, the agent still continued his task as he continued to testing Shadow Knight that he's fully within the ranks of the world heroes and that he's really beginning his full infiltration, that the world heroes are quietly doing a very much quite of a great job and also very quite of a good job, that she should exactly begin exposing them. Shadow Knight exactly told the agent to remain highly silent and to remain highly reliable and to stay on the shadows and to keep an open eyes and open minds on what's happening within the world heroes ranks, and also to stay on top of them by any means necessary, to what he precisely agreed through the text himself as well. On the particular day of April of April, since Shadow Knight didn't exactly contact his secret infiltrator agent within the entire year of March, while he began getting closer and bonding with the members of the world heroes. He hasn't exactly managed to contact him throughout the entire year, throughout the entire month of March as well. On the actual day of the 10th of April, Shadow Knight exactly sent a text to his agent wondering why hasn't he sent any information or any intelligence on what the world heroes are up to or what exactly they're planning, to which the agent exactly told him that there's nothing going on and everything else is still exactly the same way as well. On the actual day of the 16th of May, the agent was quietly still wandering the streets of the city until Shadow Knight quietly completely appeared out of nowhere and exactly told the agent why hasn't he been sending texts and any new development on the newest members of the world heroes, especially about their plans in trying to liberate many captured alien races and creatures and beings that have been highly trafficked and sentenced to many unknown dark worlds and sister planets for the Harvican core to actually begin experimenting on them, to which the agent exactly precisely told Shadow Knight that there was nothing to report even about the settling about the newest member. Shadow Knight exactly warned the agent that she can never get too close to the members of the world heroes or the members of the Four Nation Hunters of the Intergalactic Coalition, because once they find out exactly who he is, they'll purposely betray him or put a control collar on him, which will easily destabilize his powers and his abilities, or either controlling him mentally as well, mentally, psychically, in order for him to be under their sole control. To which the agent exactly told Shadow Knight that he's completely hadn't forgotten about what happened throughout his previous life and that he'll never exactly do that. They'll never exactly do that to him, as the agent reassured Shadow Knight that he'll stay on top of the task and on top of the mission as well. On the actual day of the 10th of June, the members of the World Heroes began officially clashing with the formidable assassinary group, to which they began their full-headed attack against the members of the Great United, leaders of the United Nations, to where they began a full liberation front, to where they were highly surprised that the members of the World Heroes were very highly backed up by the members of the United Heroes, to which the shadowy assassins decided to retreat and abort the full missionary. On their getaway plane, they were able to contact another member of the Court of Nature